Good evening. Respected President Dr. G.S. Vijayakrishnan, respected past President Dr. Hannabi ma'am, Dr. Padmanabhan sir, Dr. Anju.K.Kanmani, respected faculty Dr. Hannabi, and senior leaders, my dear AMS members, dear friends and colleagues. I'm really glad to welcome you all for another session of our Journal Club. We have been conducting this Journal Club regularly for the last 6-7 months, along with so many other CME programs. I'm glad to announce that we'll be organizing the AMS Kerala South Zone Conference on July 30th in our headquarters of IMA. It will be an academic feast with there will be paper presentation and poster presentation for the PG students and quiz competition for PG students as well as the participants, etc., etc. So I request all of you to come and attend and make it a big success and bless us. It will be a great event. And coming to today's session, I think our president is yet to join, and is actually he's a person who attends all our sessions and encourages us in all our programs. He's busy with our national conference and registration and all those stuff, and he'll be joining in a short while. And I'm expecting Dr. Altaf, our branch secretary, as well. He's also not joined. And Dr. Padmanabhan sir, he's one of the coordinators. He is the head of the Department of Pediatrics, PRS Hospital, Trivandrum. He has been coordinating this journal club ever since we started it, along with Dr. Anju.K.Kanmani. And Dr. Anju.K.Kanmani also will be joining in a short while. He's a consultant pediatrician in Thaluk Hospital, Vithura. I welcome Dr. Padmanabhan sir. Welcome, sir. And Dr. Hannabi ma'am, the past president of IMA, Trivandrum branch. Actually, it was she who helped me to organize this particular session of Journal Club. Thank you, ma'am, and welcome. And our AMS Kerala State Chairman, Dr. R.C. Srikumar, also is participating in this program. I'm really glad to welcome you, Dr. Srikumar. And I know there are so many leaders like Dr. Hari Prasad sir, Dr. Iqbal sir, etc. I welcome you all, and I welcome all my friends and colleagues. Coming to the topic, today's topic is a very relevant, interesting topic article. The HPV is about the HPV vaccine, the human papillomavirus vaccine, and evaluation of the immune response to single dose of quadrivalent HPV vaccine at 10-year post-vaccination. A very interesting and very relevant article. And it will be presented by Dr. Hannabi. She is a consultant in the PRAN hospital. She did her MBBS in Trichy Medical College, DGO in Trivandrum Medical College, DNB with gold medal from Cosmopolitan Hospital and MRCOG UK. And she is a very good academician. She got awards for best paper and poster presentation, the Advances 2018. And she got third prize for the best paper, best poster in AKCOG 2018. I'm really glad to welcome you, Dr. Hannabi. And before starting the program, I request Dr. R.C. Shrima to say a few words.
Good evening and thank you, sir, for the wonderful programs going on IMA AMS. All support for our IMA AMS South Zone Conference will make it a big success. And one more thing is to be announced today with the permission of special welcome to Iqbal sir for participating in academic activities. IMA AMS is coordinating with the specialty organizations to share its platforms to discuss various topics. First of its kind, IMA AMS is associated with Rheumatology Association of Kerala, and they will conduct sessions at different districts in association with IMA AMS. And I'm very proud and glad to say that first session will be conducted in Trivandrum, and Pradeep sir is coordinating that. That would be a good start. I request all members of other specialty organizations to join IMA AMS so that we can conduct similar education academic sessions for the people working in other specialties throughout state. So for that also, I congratulate Pradeep sir for taking up this issue first in the state. This will be conducted in the month of July, the earliest. And then we have similar sessions in Hannabi, Ernakulam, Kottayam, Thrissur, and Calicut. So that's a new step for the IMA AMS to affiliating with specialty organizations. So I wish all the best for Dr. Hannabi to have a nice session ahead. Thank you. Thank you very much.
And Dr. Anubhav ma'am, you used to say a few words now, or you'll be chipping in after the presentation?
I'll be saying a few comments after the presentation, sir. That will be better.
Okay.
Okay, we can.
So, Padmanabhan sir, anything you want to say? Sir, you are not audible, sir. Please unmute.
Say after the presentation, please. After the presentation.
Okay. Over to you, Dr. Hannabi.
Thank you, sir. I hope I'm audible.
Oh, yes, very well.
Okay. So can you see my
yes
screen? Yeah.
Yeah.
Honorable President, Honorable Chairman, Secretary, Convener, I'm deeply honored to be in the presence of senior doctors, Dr. Padmanabhan sir, and also respected all senior leaders of IMA, my teachers, my friends, and my colleagues. A warm and a pleasant evening to all of you. So today I'm entrusted on presenting a journal, and the topic is evaluation of human immune response to single dose of quadrivalent vaccine at 10 years post-vaccination. So I've taken this topic because of its relevance, because we know that cervical cancer, it is the second most common cancer among women in India after breast cancer. And as we all know, cervical cancer is again a preventable cancer. So, and increasing the awareness will help in decreasing the hesitancy towards taking this vaccination, because the age group, the target group of are girls belonging to the age group 9 to 14 years, and there will always be a hesitancy among parents to introduce new vaccines to their kids. So I think increased awareness among the healthcare providers may help in decreasing the hesitancy. So this was published in the journal Vaccine, and it was published online on November 2022, while it was published in the journal as in 2023. So the Vaccine Journal, it is an open access peer-reviewed journal and the publisher being Elsevier, and it is the official journal of the Japanese Society of Vaccinology, and it has got a very good impact factor of about 4.169. So coming to the background, so human papilloma virus vaccination, it offers an excellent prospect for the primary prevention of cervical cancer. So the bivalent and the quadrivalent vaccines are both available in India. And coming to actually there's bivalent, quadrivalent, and the nonavalent vaccines. But even though the nonavalent vaccine Gardasil 9 is licensed in India, it is yet to be available. Now, the cervical cancer, as I said before, it is the second most common cancer in women after carcinoma breast. And India bears approximately 20% of the global burden of this disease. So now, just before going on to the journal, I just wanted to emphasize the fact that the HPV vaccine, it is produced by this HPV vaccine antigens are actually L1 proteins. As we can see in the figure, these are the L1 antigens. And from these L1 antigens are taken, they are self-assembled. And finally, we get a 3D structure, which is called as the virus-like particles. As we can see, it is able, because of its dense nature, it is being able to produce a very good immunogenic response. And the other important thing is that it does not have the pathogenic DNA. And even though it establishes a infection-like state, it is non-oncogenic. Now, HPV vaccines are one of the most expensive vaccines, and 2 doses of vaccines, it is unaffordable to many of the low and middle income countries, and even in developing countries, because in India, actually, these doses of vaccines, they cost around 2,000 to 3,500 per dose. The recent World Health Organization recommendation supporting the single dose of HPV vaccine will significantly reduce the programmatic cost, mitigate the supply shortage, and simplify logistics. So the recent World Health Organization coming with this recommendation is based on trials, one of which is the one which I'm presenting today. Now, the objective of this study is to determine whether the recipients of the single dose of quadrivalent HPV vaccine had a sustained immune response against the targeted HPV types. As we all know, the quadrivalent vaccine has got its effect on HPV 6, 11, 16, and 18. So the single dose, whether it is able to produce a sustained immune response at 10 years post-vaccination. And the second one was to assess whether this response was superior to the natural antibody titers which were observed in unvaccinated women. And the secondary objective was to estimate this immune response against the vaccine-targeted HPV types at 10 years post-vaccination in the recipients of 3 doses and 2 doses of quadrivalent vaccine. So actually, this was a randomized trial which was initiated in September 2009 by the International Agency for Research on Cancer, France, and this was done in 9 centers in India. And this study had what objective was primarily to compare the effectiveness of 2 doses versus 3 doses of the quadrivalent HPV vaccine. But however, this study had to be suspended because there was all the studies related to the HPV vaccine was suspended by the government of India on 9th April 2010, resulting in girls receiving different vaccine schedule. So actually, this was a randomized trial to know the effectiveness between 2 doses and 3 doses. But this did not happen. Finally, what happened was, actually it was assigned that 20,000 girls between 10 to 14 years would receive this vaccine randomly. 10,000 will receive the 2 dose and 10,000 will receive the 3 dose. But however, due to the suspension of the government of India, around 4,000 girls received 3 doses as per the protocol. That is on day 1, on day 60, and on day 180. And around 4,980 recipients received the 2 doses, and 3,000 by default, 1 and not as per the protocol, 1 and after 60 days. And again, 4,900 received a single dose. So this arm, that is 2 doses by default, was not included in the study. Actually, the 3 doses recipients who received 3 doses recipient who received 2 doses and the recipient who received a single dose were taken into the study. And since this was then turned into a prospective study, and so they had to take a control group because it was converted into prospective study, and then they did it post hoc. Even though the study was started in 2009, post hoc, they got age-matched and site-matched participants as the control group. And after that, they started to collect blood sample to know the 10-year immunogenicity. It was initiated in 2020 Feb, and it was completed by July 2020. And again, so those who have got single dose, randomly 340 recipients were invited to give the blood. And in 2 dose and 3 dose, again 200 randomly selected each, from 2 dose and 3 dose. And from unvaccinated women, around 352 women were invited to give their blood samples. And these blood samples were taken at regular intervals. And the very good thing about this study is that they used 2 different assays to analyze the antibody titers. And one was the multiplex VLP-based IgG ELISA test, which it was done at the Centers of Disease Control and Prevention, Atlanta, USA. And then there was a pseudovirion-based neutralization assay, that is the PBNA assay, which was done at the Joint Chemical Biology Core Facility for European Molecular Biology, EMBL. So this is a little bit blurred, but even then, this is just to show that the blood samples, they were taken at regular intervals. And finally, you can see there were 2 tests done, that is the ELISA test and the PBNA test. And in unvaccinated cohort, they took 352 random samples. Here they took 351. And in vaccinated cohort, finally, single dose, there were 324 samples, and 2 dose, it was 190, 3 dose, 167. And here again in PBNA, it was single dose, 324 samples were obtained, 190 for the 2 dose and 167 for the 3 dose. So then these blood samples were analyzed. So the antibody response level for the single dose and the 2 dose were compared with the 3 dose group. And also the antibody titers were also compared to the natural immunity in the unvaccinated cohort. So the antibody titer level single dose was compared with 2 dose, 3 dose, and the unvaccinated group who had natural immunity was also compared. So all these 4 groups were compared. Now, and for comparison, they used log transformed mean titers in linear regression model to obtain the GMT ratio, which is actually the geometric mean titer, to assess the antibody titer levels. And they took the ratio and they correspond to 95% confidence interval. So they said that if the GMT ratio was greater than 0.5, it shows that it is a non-inferior, that group is non-inferior. So, and all the statistical analysis were done using Stata version 17. So this shows, so the blood samples were taken at regular intervals, that is on day 1, month 7, 12. This is the ELISA test. So you can see that a single dose candidates, recipient at first year, that is the month 12, the geometric mean titer was 9.72. which is actually a very good titer, and the detectable antibody rate was around 98%. And if you take that at 120 months, that is after 10 years, even then the GMT was maintained at 9.9, and again the number of percentage with antibody titers were around 96%. And if you take the GMT ratio for single dose, it was 2 when compared to the unvaccinated. And the single dose here again after 10 years, it was again 2, which shows that it is more than 0.5. So it was twofold, that is far more superior when compared to the unvaccinated women. So natural, it is much better than the natural immunity. So this was the similar test which they got with the other test, that is the PBNA test, that is a pseudo-virion based test. Again, they had in for a single dose 96% antibody titers conversion rate was there, and the GMT was 1.46, and it was again maintained after 10 years, 97 and 2.14. So this is the antibody kinetic curve of HPV 16 antibodies. And this is the first graph shows the kinetic curve of using the ELISA test, and this is the PBNA test. So we can see that both of them are similar, and this dashed line shows the unvaccinated or the natural immunity, and the green line shows the 3-dose regime, and the blue line shows the single dose. When seeing this kinetic curve, we can see that the 3-dose regime is far superior than the single dose regime. So that is without any conflict, we can say that the 3-dose or the 2-dose regime is much better than the single dose. But when compared to the natural immunity or unvaccinated women, this single dose regime was much better. As we told, the GMT ratio was 2, so which shows that it is much better. So again, they say that why they're emphasizing on single dose is that the single dose is able to produce enough antibody response, and you can see that usually it comes into there is a peak, and by around 18 months, 1.5 years, it starts to decrease, and then it comes to a plateauing level. And we can see at this plateauing level, even at 10 years, the single dose regime is far higher than the unvaccinated women. And seeing this graph, we'll be able to extrapolate and see that this response will be there for another, but it's unlikely to wane for a few years again. And this single dose regime is enough because they say that because of the natural, the way the HPV gets infected, that is through the microtrauma, the HPV takes a few hours to have a conformational change and reach the basal cell of the epithelium. So at this time, it is enough for the single dose immune response to help clear the infection. So the dynamics, this is the dynamics of antibody response among the single dose recipient, which is observed around 10 years, showed stabilized levels at 18 months. And this was not only for HPV 16, but for all other HPV types, including 6, 11, 16, and 18. And HPV type-specific antibody titers after a single dose, it was significantly inferior to those after the 3 doses of vaccine. And they said that the GMT ratio was just 0.2. However, the antibody titers significantly higher than those observed in unvaccinated women following natural infection, that is 2 to 4-fold higher. The result correlates with the high vaccine efficacy of single dose against persistent HPV 16-18 infection reported at 10 years post-vaccination. So coming to the conclusion, so we can see that there is single dose, the immunogenicity remains high, and the titers are unlikely to wane in 5 to 10 years, and it provides a high durable protection against persistent infection and high-grade cervical pre-cancer lesions. So based on this trials, and also they have 11-year immunogenicity outcome reported by the Costa Rica HPV vaccine trial. So they also have got similar results. So the current WHO HPV vaccine recommendation 2022. So they say that the 19 to 14 years is the target group girls who they are aiming at. They can be given a single dose or a 2-dose regime 6 months apart. And the next group is 15 to 20 years and more than 21 years. In these two age groups, they must be counseled that the efficacy might be reduced, but even then it will be able to have an immune response. It will not be able to clear any already established infection, however. So again, in 15 to 20 years, again, they can go for a single dose or a 2-dose regime. And after 21 years, it is 2-dose only. And it must be taken 6 months apart. So, however, the WHO recommends that 9 to 14 years is the target group, and especially in low and middle income countries, they should not divert their funding towards the 15 to 20 or more than 21 years, compromising the 19 to 14 years target group population. And they say that by immunizing the 19 to 14-year-old girls, the herd immunity will be so high that even the the need for vaccination boys also might be reduced so that it becomes more cost effective. So coming to the strengths and limitation of my study, is that it used two independent technology to assess the antibody response, and the analyst who did the blood sample was blinded to the status of vaccination. And also, as I said, there is a Costa Rica HPV vaccine trial with a level year immunogenicity which shows similar outcomes. And the limitation was that the control arm, because the study was initially a randomized trial, then the control arm was added post hoc. And also there is unknown effect, whether there is any boosting effect of natural infection on the single dose vaccine recipients. We are not sure. Again, a short mention about the human papilloma virus, a good clinical practice recommendation by the FOXI, which was put forward in 2020. So we have the bivalent, the quadrivalent, and the nonavalent vaccine. So bivalent is the Cervarix, quadrivalent Gardasil, and nonavalent is Gardasil 9. And in India, it is licensed to use from 9 to 45 years. The preferred target group is 9 to 14 years, which is a grade A recommendation. And number of doses for girls less than 15 years is 2 doses, that is 0.5 ml given at 0 and 6 months. And for more than 15 years or immunocompromised or HIV infected girls, it is a 3 dose where you give it, if it is a bivalent, you give it 0-1-6, and if it is a quadrivalent, you give it 0 to 6 months. And then there is also recommendation for catch-up vaccination, but again, there must be counsel regarding the reduced efficacy. And there is also for older age groups as well, they can be given, but all these comes under grade B recommendation. So with that, I conclude my journal presentation. Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you for the excellent presentation. Now, over to you, Dr. Padmanabhan, sir, to take over.
I don't take over. I just pass a few comments. Hello. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
I can't see.
Yeah, please do the exit, Hannabi.
1 second, ma'am.
Click to it. Yeah.
Sorry.
Well, see, generally, vaccination, when we teach and when we learn, we say for live vaccine, single dose, and for killed vaccine, multiple doses. That's what we say. And the best thing to give is 0, 6 weeks, and 6 months killed vaccine, and that will give you a long-lasting immunity. But things have changed over the years. Basically, if you look from a basic immunology aspect, hepatitis B vaccine, we never give. Now we look at the impact. Hepatitis B vaccine, we never give a booster. If you give 0, 6, and 6 months, that's it. There's a killed vaccine, we never give a booster. Now, if you look at the vaccine like, but at the same time, a live vaccine like measles, we repeat at 5 years, 1.5 years, etc. Single dose is not given nowadays. So we are looking at what really happens in the society. There are multiple reasons why a principle of giving a single dose in live vaccine and multiple doses in killed vaccine may not hold good now. But even then, in human papilloma virus, at the end, the vaccine is a killed vaccine. We were giving 3 vaccines above 15 years and 9 to 14 years. They said that 2 vaccines is enough to be given 6 months apart. This was a study that has been well accepted. That's how it is given too. And then above 15 years, they were advising 3 doses, 0, 6 weeks, and 6 months. Now, the problem with the human papilloma virus is it's a very, very costly medicine. Therefore, the WHO is looking, if you give single vaccine, is definitely better than natural infection. About 70%, 16 and 18 will be prevented. Now, the problem here, another thing is the antibody level, does it correlate with protection? And how long? 10 years is the follow-up here. That's not enough. Probably we must repair 30, 40 years follow-up. Time will save. And see, this has been another vaccine where killed vaccine where a single dose is advised. If you remember, it's a typhoid vaccine. So Dr. Pradeep would say when our representatives come, I asked them, this is a kill vaccine. Why do you advise a single dose? They don't have an answer. The answer to it is the booster is given by a water which the government supplies us because it contains salmonella. Therefore, they keep on boosting your immune response, and therefore, a single dose might be enough for us, typhoid vaccine, given at 6 months of age, I think now. Now we normally don't give it routinely. Now the human papilloma virus, that booster effect is not there. You must understand that the micro trauma it causes in the vagina during sexual intercourse, there is not much of a bacteremia to boost the effect. But even then, we are looking at the antibody titer, which is much less than 3 doses, but much higher than what happens in the natural population. And they believe that this is enough for protection because it persists. A single time it persists. But there is no natural correlate. Therefore, we will have to keep our fingers crossed. But what will happen here is the WHO, now, if you look at WHO as recommended, I would say the exact. You must, when you look at WHO's recommendation, you should read the WHO position paper. And each word they use is very important. I read out to you. Current evidence suggests that a single dose has comparative efficacy and duration of protection as a 2-dose schedule. And this is 2022, and may offer program advantages, be more effective and affordable, and contribute to improved coverage. Okay, improved coverage. From a public health perspective, underline again, from a public health perspective, the use of a single dose can offer substantial benefits that outweigh the potential risk of a lower level of protection if efficacy wanes over time, although there is no current evidence of this. Therefore, they are emphasizing from a public health perspective. Therefore, the question rises when you give in private, when the patient comes and tells you what is the best for the patient, whether to give 2 or 3 doses, we have to keep our fingers crossed. And when you start telling better to give 2 and 3 doses, and in public health, they say only 1 dose, there's going to be a clash of interest also. Therefore, at the end, I would say that this is a good thing. Probably in government hospitals, single dose is better than no dose. Definitely 60 to 70% protection. We will have to keep a little, when the WHO recommends, we can very well do it. We are legally protected. But in the private, if somebody comes to me and asks me, I would definitely recommend 2 or 3 doses. And again, the problem now is whether it's quadrivalent. I think nanovalent is also available in India now. The speaker said that only 2 vaccines are available, I think now. But you know, the nanovalent costs some 11,000 rupees per dose. Therefore, this is the way. Therefore, unfortunately, when you do counseling, you will have to say what is the best and offer them the minimum they have to take. I would say that if they give a single dose in the government, I would give the option of going and giving it in the. And another thing you must understand is, I don't think Kerala government is giving HPV vaccine now. The WHO's Indian government is giving it all over the world, all over India. The WHO is definitely recommending, this must be clear, to be included in all immunization program for girls above 9 years of age. Therefore, thank you. Hello.
Thank you, sir. Dr. Anubhav, ma'am.
Good evening, all. Respected President and respected Chairperson, and Padmanabhan sir has well explained about the, I was just hearing to his comments. He was very well explained. He had very well explained the various pitfalls and advantages of the vaccine. As he has rightly pointed out, definitely this vaccine, this WHO might have an intention of coming up with this vaccine for the low socioeconomic status country, I mean the underprivileged countries and all. Because if we, this much costly vaccine, if you offer to our normal people, they will not take it. So the government of Kerala is also coming up with the accepting this particular single dose vaccine if it gets a clearance and all. They are also coming up with this single dose vaccination, which can be given through panchayats and all to the school children and all. But another thing I would like to share is that now the sexual practice of our youngsters has changed. So it's not like the previous era and all. So definitely we have to give some protection to them. So that, and the only the preventable cancer, I think most of the cancers are not preventable, but this vaccination is can to some extent, at least up to 75%, it will offer a protection in CS cervix. So previously the CS cervix was very high in our community because of the child marriages and all. And in the middle time, it was almost completely absent. Now it has again, because of the change in the sexual practices among adolescents and all, the incidence has risen. So definitely this vaccination has a role, but the problem is definitely, as sir has mentioned, the cost, the acceptance, the compliance and everything by the youngsters and their family members is very important. So proper counseling definitely needed. And if we can give a cafeteria approach of some, like all these three type of vaccines are available, and those who can afford the extended version, they can go for that vaccine, which can give protection against the multiple strains, where there are more than 50 strains of HPV are there, which may or may not cause CS cervix. That is not sure till now. So definitely, if those who can go for the higher version, definitely they can go it. But of course, the government might definitely come up with this vaccine. I think this vaccine may help at least a fraction of the community and help in preventing the CS cervix. It's a more affordable vaccine, and a single dose vaccine might be more acceptable by the school children. So anyway, congratulations, Hannabi, for selecting this very interesting topic, because government is today also we had a discussion with most of the higher officials of in Trivandrum city. They were all discussing about this, the particular vaccine and all. So this is a very relevant article. So we can hope for the best. Thank you. Thank you, sir, for giving an opportunity to my our junior consultant. She's a very promising gynecologist, and she's a very good academician also. Thank you.
Sir, can I make you, sir? Can I take 2 minutes?
Yeah, please.
In fact, before congratulate Hannabi for the nice presentation and the selection of the topic. That's very important. Before I make any comments, I would like to have some opinion from 2 people here who will decide the policy of the issue. And this vaccine trial itself has a lot of controversy happened in India, because this is one of the first massive trial happened in India. Rajiv Chandra was actually participating. There are a lot of controversies. So we have 2 excellent public health experts and 2 people who are deciding our government's policy. Iqbal sir and Hari sir is there. So before going to my comments, I'd like to hear from those people. Sorry for intervening for this, sir.
Yeah.
Iqbal sir will be the ideal person to comment on this.
Sir, please unmute. Sir, please unmute.
I was extremely happy to listen to the excellent presentation by Hannabi, because the Kerala government had appointed a vaccine policy committee last year, and I happen to be the chairperson of that committee, and we have already submitted our proposal to the government, and the government is examining this. Now, the committee consists of experts like Dr. Arvind, the professor of virology, Dr. Jairam and IAP, and Dr. Pradhavan from WHO, etc. Of course, I am not an expert in virology, and I learned a lot from my younger colleagues during the preparation of this report. But however, in our report, we did not recommend HPV in Kerala, actually. But now that single dose vaccination is enough, we can revise our recommendation, because in our, of course, when you submit a policy proposal, you will have to look at the cost benefit. You will have to do the cost benefit analysis. Now, if you look at the HPV scenario in Kerala, you know that it is about 8 per 100,000 population. WHO's target is 4 per 100,000 population, but it is seen that last few years it is coming down dramatically in Kerala. And secondly, the incidence of oropharyngeal carcinoma is very limited in Kerala. And moreover, HPV is effective in pre-invasive carcinoma, not on invasive carcinoma. Not all the strains are covered. So when we looked at made a cost-benefit analysis with 2-dose regime, we found that we'll have to administer vaccine to 30 lakhs and girls here, which will cost, as for the present cost of the vaccine, about 200 crores rupees. Whereas if you do a screening of even with the most advanced technologies, we will have to screen around 50 lakhs of women, which will cost only 75 crores. So that is the cost-benefit analysis. So therefore, we advise that let us have a base data about the incidence of CX service in Kerala. If it increases, then go for HPV. If otherwise it is coming down, go for screening, because that is cost-benefit. When you do the cost-benefit analysis, that's better. But now that if this study is accepted by WHO and national governments, then we need to give only 1 dose, in which case giving HPV will be less costly than seeing the. That is where we are standing. Very happy. Suggest to the government that with such reports, we will revise our proposal to the government. Actually, the national state government has not so far taken any decision on the vaccine policy submitted to the government. There are other proposals like adult vaccination of flu and pneumococcal vaccine, etc. These are very exhaustive vaccine policies. Some other state governments have actually taken this report very seriously and considering to implement them. I understand that the national government has decided to give HPV vaccination, and so with central funding, maybe Kerala government can go for vaccination. Even otherwise, if you take this study very seriously and accept it, and accepted by international agencies like WHO, we can go for single dose HPV vaccination. Thank you, and congratulate Hannabi for her excellent presentation.
Thank you, sir.
Very fair.
ഞാൻ വളരെ താമസിച്ചു വന്നത് കാരണം ആധികാരികമായിട്ട് പറയാൻ പറ്റാത്തൊരവസ്ഥയിലാണ്. എങ്കിലും ഇക്ബാൽ സാർ പറഞ്ഞതിനോട് പൂർണ്ണമായിട്ട് യോജിക്കുന്നുണ്ട്. പ്രത്യേകിച്ച് നമ്മുടെ ഇപ്പോഴത്തെ സിനാരിയോയിൽ നമുക്ക് ഒരുപാട് അനാലിസിസിന് ശേഷം മാത്രമേ ഇത്തരം കാര്യങ്ങൾ പോളിസിയിലേക്ക് കൊണ്ടുവരാൻ കഴിയൂ. തീർച്ചയായിട്ടും സാറ് പറഞ്ഞത് പൂർണ്ണ യോജിക്കുക. ജേണൽ പ്രസന്റേഷനെ കുറിച്ച് എനിക്ക് പറയാൻ പറ്റുന്നില്ല, കാരണം വളരെ ലേറ്റായിട്ട് ഞാനത് എൻ്റർ ചെയ്തു. ഓക്കെ.
Anybody else? Please.
From a public health point of view, when WHO has recommended in 2022, they have recommended that they strongly recommend that HPV vaccine can be given, should be included in all national immunization program. And they have said that single dose from a public health point of view can be did. The wording I don't think we should have much hesitation in giving an advice to the government to go ahead. I think the national government will also come about with a policy regarding this. Whether IAP has said anything regarding single dose and multiple dose, I am not sure.
Excuse me, sir. There is one question in the chat box.
Regarding the vaccination of the boys and the time schedule.
See, regarding vaccination of girls always take precedence because cervical cancer is the most important, and 16 and 18 which even a bivalent vaccine might prevent about 80 to 90% of the cancer. Now, the human papilloma virus is also responsible for anogenital warts, carcinoma of the penis, carcinoma of the larynx. Oropharyngeal cancer is the most common cancer due to human papilloma virus in the United States. Therefore, they have shifted their attention from girls or men. They have included boys also. Let's start from the beginning. At least girls at 9 or 12 years, where is going to be the most cost-benefit ratio. The most cost-benefit will be there. For the boys, they say that we prevent genital warts and other malignancy. A nanovalent vaccine may be more effective because it contains viruses other than 16 and 18. Virus particles other than 16 and 18. So boys will be little far-fetched, especially from a public health point in India, even in Kerala. Let's talk about the girls. Is what I mean. It definitely is benefit. Western countries have started giving. And the dose is 0, 6, and 6 months.
And anybody else? Any questions, any suggestions?
Sir,
Any comments?
boys age group, sir. One question, boys age group to be given. Sir
Well,
told us age group.
I'm not too sure about it. Because the 9 years is what the Western countries thought about in girls. I don't know the boys, what age they are advising. I'm not
Okay.
too sure. I shouldn't be.
It must be the same age
Same
group.
age group.
No,
Same
no,
age
no.
group.
No. It's different.
Same age group, I think, sir. Same
No,
age.
sir.
Maybe.
No, sir.
It's not the same age?
No. That's what I want to confirm it, sir. It's not the same age anyway.
Okay. I'm not too sure. I don't know what I heard.
I think there's
Okay.
a mild difference, 9 to 13 or something like that. It's a very small difference only, I think so. I'm not sure.
Okay.
And I think the cheaper versions are coming. Once this vaccine becomes more popular and more people use it, probably the price will come down.
Boys, it is 11 to 12 years before adolescence. Boys is 11 to 12 years before adolescence.
Okay.
Then look at.
And another important thing is we'll be discussing the human papilloma vaccine and adult vaccination tomorrow in our IMA branch general body meeting tomorrow. And Dr. Santosh Kumar, a pediatrician, a great academician, he'll be talking on the subject tomorrow. So I request all of you to attend that session also. That'll be very interesting, very informative. And if there are no more questions and suggestions, we'll wind up the session. Thank you.
Can I make a last comment?
Yeah, please go ahead.
Last week there was an ASI meeting, a very close door meeting, where Dr. Padmanabhan was a faculty there. There was a discussion on future of surgery and the future of malignancies. Dr. Padmanabhan is opining that cervical cancer may be the first one to disappear from the major community because of this vaccination. So even though some people are opposed to it, but it is still a possible thing with this vaccination. It's a vaccine preventable malignancy. That's the importance of it. Thank you, sir.
Yeah. So our faculty, Dr. Hannabi, it was an excellent presentation. We'll be troubling you again. We'll be inviting you for more talks and for presentation of journal articles. Thank you so much and all the best.
Thank you.
And thank you so much, Dr. Anupama, Dr. Srikumar, and Dr. Hari sir and Dr. Iqbal sir for their valuable opinion, comments, and Dr. Padmanabhan sir for coordinating this, and all the participants. Thank you so much. Please do come and attend all our sessions. And once again, I remind you of our South Zone Conference to be conducted on July 30th. And thank you. Good night.
Thank you, Doctor. Thank you.
Nice, sir. Thank you.